Blanket bans on flights that we saw last year. But of course it depends on how the situation develops.
48 hours into the eruption, the ash plume has peaked and is getting smaller. It's still a humbling demonstration of nature's power, and Europe can only watch and wait. Charlie Angela, Al Jazeera.
Thunderstorms in the US Midwest are hampering recovery efforts after the deadliest single tornado in more than 60 years. 116 people have been killed and more than 500 injured in Joplin, Missouri, as John Terrett now reports.
From the air, it's easy to spot why approximately 25 to 30% of Joplin has been wiped out. The deadly tornado has cut a swathe of devastation right through the town of 50,000 people. This cross survived, but the church did not. Survivors can't believe they lived through the monster storm.
When they say that it sounds like a freight train coming, that's what I'd always heard, but I never. It's exactly what it sounds like, and the house was shaking, and it was scary.
The storm came up and pulled the couch off of him, and then blew up the carpet and rolled him up in the carpet against the wall.
The wind was coming, and I just had my eyes closed for the whole time, and he, like I said, was laying on top of us. I could feel the wind trying to get him and stuff, and I had to hang on to him and my dogs. Just death grip on all of us, you know. If it was going to take one, it was going to take us all.
Witnesses say the deadly tornado spun over the local hospital, blowing out windows and scattering equipment. Staff huddled with patients in corridors for safety. Nearby, a group of families took shelter in a store. A woman shouts out for Jesus.
Father, Jesus.
A man calls out, "I love you," to anyone who will listen.
Hey, I love you. Oh my gosh. This is awful.
Storm chasers appeared lost for words at the sheer scale of the damage they were looking at.
That is destroyed.
This was an F4 or F5.
This was... Dude, the trees are debarked.
Emergency services struggled to rescue survivors after the powerful twister ripped through the town, stripping out houses, trees, cars and power lines, anything in its path. The tornado in Joplin is the latest in a string of powerful storms that have brought death and devastation to the US in recent weeks. Locals say Joplin can come back, but the scale of the damage means it'll be a long time before that happens. John Terrett, Al Jazeera.
A Pakistani-American man who's already pleaded guilty to conspiring in the 2008 Mumbai attacks has given new incriminating testimony. David Coleman Headley told the US court the group behind the attacks received assistance from Pakistan's intelligence service known as the ISI. Tom Ackerman has the details.
The U.S. government's key witness in this trial is David Headley, birth name Daoud Gilani, born in Pakistan. A former drug informant, Headley has been convicted of scouting targets in Mumbai that were attacked by Lashkar-e-Taiba, killing more than 160 people, including 6 Americans. Headley has admitted receiving weapons and leadership training from Lashkar. The government put Headley on the stand in the trial of Tahaur Rana, a Chicago businessman who, along with 6 other men, is charged with helping Lashkar carry out the 3-day rampage. One of those men, identified as a Major Iqbal, has been described as an officer in the Pakistani ISI. And on the witness stand Monday, Headley testified that he understood Lashkar and the ISI generally coordinated their operations and that it assisted the group with military, financial, and moral support. He mentioned no specifics, however, in his initial testimony. In the indictment, prosecutors have not directly identified any of those charged as tied to the ISI, but they are relying on Headley, who faces the death penalty, to tell the jury that the defendant Rana knew he was working for Lashkar when he gave Headley a cover job. Rana's lawyer told the jury that Headley, quote, has been manipulating people for years and that Rana is by far and away not the first. But if the jury accepts Headley's word, the conviction will be widely seen as implicating the Pakistani intelligence service in the Mumbai attacks. Tom Ackerman, Al Jazeera.
So the US Embassy shuts its doors in Yemen after tribal fighters battle presidential loyalists on the streets of the capital Sana'a. That story still to come. Plus, the moment the beast was tamed, how the US president's car got stuck on a security barrier. More on that. Stay with us.
As the clouds roll in across the Mediterranean, you'll still find it easy to drift away.
Hello, there's a cold wind blowing across that southeastern corner of Australia at the moment. Wind's coming in from a southerly direction, a fair amount of cloud. That's pushing this wet weather out of the way, but it stays